Happy Friday, and welcome to episode 122 of our daily Live for Five. I've titled today's episode very dramatically 11 Votes, 600 Patients, and You. Now, I want to talk about how an MLA makes a huge difference in their riding when they work hard and get things done. And they're hungry and they want to solve problems and they bring people to the table who can solve them. I've been saying this that if an MLA is sitting at the right table to solve problems, the MLA is not the smartest person at that table. It takes people who have been doing this work for years, who knows what they're talking about, whether it's about housing, whether it's about healthcare, whether it's about policing or the justice system. I've been trying to do just that. I'm sitting with mayors. I'm sitting with heads of nonprofits. I'm sitting with counselors. I'm sitting with experts in the field. And that's why when there's a seniors expo, I go there and I try to talk to everybody at that expo or any kind of event. Yesterday was the telethon. Radiothon for the Charlotte County Hospital, and I want to talk to the people at the Charlotte County Hospital Foundation. These are people who know what's going on in their area. Now, let me tell you a story. In 2018, it was an election year, and Megan Mitten was running way up in Tantramar, which is a riding so similar to ours. The similarities are very, very stark in the sense of, let's just focus on one thing. They have the Sackville Memorial Hospital there. And in 2018, there was an election, and at the end of the night, 8,200 votes, and it was a virtual tie. Apparently, Megan Mitten, and when the result came in, Elections NB said Megan Mitten, the Green, won by 11 votes. No one ever thought that a Green would be elected, especially in a rural riding. David Kuhn, of course, was elected in 2014 and was the leader, but no one saw Megan Mitten winning in that rural riding, and here she is supposedly leading, winning the election by 11 votes. There was a recount, and yes, it was confirmed. Elections NB was correct with their first count. Megan Mitten won by 11 votes. She went on as MLA. There was another election in 2020, but she perceived that in her riding, when two doctors resigned, just two, retired, got out of practice, she realized that this threw hundreds of patients in her riding without access to primary care and without a doctor. This is before anybody was talking about it. And what she did, because she perceived this as a huge problem for her constituents, she brought people to the table. She went to Sackville Memorial. She talked to doctors in her area. She brought those people to the table. And together, there's a Rural Action Committee up there as well. They were able to bring their resources, their tools, their people, their expertise together. The health authority was able to rent a nearby building, convert it into an office. And the first thing that they did was allow doctors to work collaboratively together. So 1-2 days a week, whatever the doctors could do, they worked together. All the medical orphans, as we call them, and as I've mentioned to you, my whole family became medical orphans when Dr. John Muhammad retired. Hey, our doctors move on with their lives. And in this system, people are just thrown out and then put on a waiting list. Well, she took all those medical orphans. She worked with the medical professionals. They took those charts. The charts were housed in that clinic, and they started with just getting people who had lost their doctors back into access to primary care with doctors. And then they have invited more practitioners. There's, of course, nurse practitioners. There's still job openings there for therapists, for social workers, dietitians, every kind of medical care professional outside of that clinic. Of course, the clinic was very, very happy to be taking people on. Doctors didn't have the huge workloads that they would have if they had their own solo practice. The hospital was greatly relieved because people who were going to emergency could move to the clinic. And now they have worked on establishing an after-hour clinic because the hospital is only open during the day and not overnight. And so the clinic was able to take that on, and they are continuing to work on expanding out that clinic that Megan Mitten, as MLA, before it was cool, before everybody was talking about it, because now the New Brunswick Medical Society is asking for 50 clinics to open across the province. They needed $70 million to do that in this last budget. They asked for $600 million to bring our healthcare system up to par, up to a minimum, a basic acceptable standard. This government refused to do that. In fact, they gave a $1.9 million increase. I want you to think about that. Medical Society asked for 6. We got 1.6. Did I say 1.9? I was being too generous. $1.6 million increase in our healthcare budget for this year. I will also add that the Minister of Finance predicted a $40 million surplus, which again would have been amazing if they commit that right to the medical system, but they did not. Well, guess what? The surplus has actually come in. It was announced this fall at $500 million. This government continues to let money sit on the table, and I've talked about it before. This is not responsible governance. If you think a pile of money sitting on the table is good, it's not. A business doesn't run that way. Businesses always have their money out going to work, and that's why they budget. Advanced governments do not work this way. They're often running a slight deficit, paying off the interest. The money needs to be working. Back to my story, though. Megan Mitten, friends, I hope you're putting this together, won by 11 votes. And because she was in office and not anyone else, she was able to pull together the experts, the money, the resources, and now 600 people are being seen out of that clinic. 600 patients out of one clinic with the multiple doctors, nurse practitioners, and other healthcare professionals. 600 people had access to care because of 11 votes. So friends, if you are thinking, should I vote? And advanced polling starts tomorrow. I'm going to put the locations in the description of this video. It makes a huge difference. I could become your MLA by a handful of votes. I will work extremely hard. You know the Green Platform, you know what we stand for. But if you're thinking, I'm just going to stay home, or it doesn't really matter, as I knocked on the door today, talked to a young woman who is a home support worker. She said she doesn't vote because who cares? It doesn't make a difference. I said to her, it makes a huge difference. By the time we were finished our 10-minute conversation, I think she and her boyfriend are going to go vote because, as I said to her, if you don't vote, you are voting for the same. The incumbent has a huge advantage just by virtue of being there and just by the apathy of some other voters who are just saying, well, we'll just vote for what we know. Friends, it is time for change. It is time for you to cast your vote. I certainly hope I win by more than 11, but 11 is good enough because Megan was able to do incredible things in her riding. When an MLA is hungry, when an MLA is curious, and a hard worker ready to work for hours and hours serving you, doing the job of getting people the help they need, you will see that difference in your life and in our community in Saint Croix. So I'm just going to leave it there. I will join me again tomorrow. I'm going to be knocking on doors. I was today. This is a really exciting time. I'm feeling extremely positive, friends, which again, as I've said before, I want to talk to you about strategic voting and why it doesn't work at all. But even if it did, wink, wink, it looks like I would be where you would put that strategic vote if you want your current government to go away. But don't vote strategically. Vote with your values, and I will make that case tomorrow exactly why you need to do that. But if you want to beat the lines and all that hassle on October 21st, tomorrow, go to the advanced polls. They are open all day, and I will post where you can do that in each area of our riding: Campobello, McAdam, St. Stephen, St. Andrews. Look in the description for those locations.